Bees have such an immense impact on our environment and society. They play a substantial role in our daily lives, but many of us overlook such a small creature.
Bees pollinate 1/3 of the food that humans eat. Pollination is the process that allows plants to reproduce. Humans wouldn't be receiving the necessary vitamins and minerals that bees provide if they were extinct.
Bees also help pollinate 8% of our wildflowers. These wildflowers use photosynthesis. During this, the wildflowers purify the air. They also provide a food source for primary consumers.
Pollinating plants, bees also help the meat industry. For example, sheep grazing in pastures help them grow and become healthier for us to consume. According to Perfect Bee, pollination occurs when pollen grains from the male part of the flower, the anther, are transferred to the female part, the stigma, of another flower. There wouldn't be nearly as many plants without bees since it allows them to reproduce. There are other pollinators besides bees, for example hummingbirds and butterflies, but bees are the most important of these pollinators because they pollinate the most. They pollinate over 110 crops.
They are worth $577 billion annually because the amount of crops they pollinate. Unfortunately, though, the pollination dropped since 20 years ago. It is at its high of 87%. They are going through a colony collapse disorder, meaning the number of bees is dramatically decreasing and many at a time are suddenly dying for many different reasons. Bees have suffered a tragic population decrease. However, many organizations today have become triumphant in taking actions to support them.
Pesticides are substances that are used to eliminate unwanted insects or pests. They are used in many farms around the world, but unfortunately, bees are one of the insects harmed by this process when they are trying to pollinate plants.
For years now, honeybees in the U.S. have been dying, and it seemed to be a mystery as to what was killing them. Well, the EPA has finally conceded that a very widely used pesticide could be the reason for these honeybees dying. Now, the chemicals in question are referred to as neonicotinoids.
The most important factor of the bee decline is this pesticide use. Ever since the end of World War II, the use of pesticides has increased drastically. When bees encounter certain pesticides, they go into shock and their navigational senses are harmed, which causes them to forget how to get back to the hive. Other times, they can damage their reproductive systems.
One of the most harmful pesticides is neonicotinoids, which damage the central nervous system and results in paralysis or death. It also affects many of the tasks they do to survive, such as feeding, homing, and reproducing. These have a large effect on their decline. A local example is when South Carolina started spraying a pesticide to kill off a certain type of mosquito. Unfortunately, the toxin could not distinguish the difference between honeybees and mosquitoes. This led to millions of bees dying.
Many parasites have been exposed to bees because of accidental human action. The majority of these parasites are harmful to bees. A specific type of parasites that are very dangerous to bees are varroa mites. They can only reproduce in bee colonies. They attach to the bee and they affect both young and old bees. This disease can make them lose legs or wings. This usually makes them die and therefore have an effect on their decline.
Agricultural changes also affect bees because the increase in croplands and pastures have also made an increase in many pesticides. It also caused more destruction of their natural habitat. In addition, the diversity of plants is very limited, therefore limiting their food access also. Climate change is also a big effect in the endangerment of bees. Because of climate change, the average monthly temperatures rise much sooner.
This has caused flowers to start blooming earlier. Since they have started to bloom earlier than usual, there is a potential mismatch in the seasonal timing. The flowers produce pollen before the bees are ready to feed. This mismatch has a negative effect on the bees' health because they have less food and certain plants don't get pollinated. Some bees are able to adapt by moving northwards, but not many can do this.
Habitat loss also plays a big role in the bee decline. With many changes in our use of land, many of us are cutting down trees and flowers. This causes bees to lose their habitat and food source. Since World War II, we have lost 97% of our wildflowers.
Even though the bee population is declining, many people are starting to take notice. But there are also many people who don't realize that such a small animal has a big impact on our community and environment. There are many organizations out there that are triumphantly trying to spread awareness and raise money about bees to help the cause. Companies like Planet Bee Foundation, the Honey Bee Conservatory, Burt's Bees, Savannah Bee Company, and Cheerios are working to make those people aware of what is tragically unfolding before our eyes. These organizations confront the problem in different ways.
Burt's Bees sells cosmetic items, then uses some of the proceeds to fund protected habitats for the bees. They have already planted over 5,000 acres of protected land. Cheerios has taken a different approach by selling their cereal boxes that provide a packet of seeds in them. They are working to their goal of providing 5 million Americans with seeds to plant a pollinator-friendly garden for bees. The Savannah Bee Company is another local business who is triumphantly helping the bees with the beehives, raising money, and spreading awareness about them.
Many other websites are trying to spread awareness about bees by saying what you can do to help them and what they do for us, such as the Greenpeace website that solely talks about the bees declining. This includes the role of the bee, the causes of their decline, and what people can do to help out. They go into detail about all of these and are just very useful for the bee community.
Another example is a campaign that is trying to reintegrate bees in Dublin. They do this by teaching people how to turn posters into bee habitats. They are holding an event that will involve seed bombing to attract bees and nourish them. There are other campaigns also, such as Save the Bees campaign, who try to spread awareness and attract people to the campaign by painting murals all around the city in Britain. They also provide a platform to hand out wildflower seeds. This way, they could plant them and make a difference, even if it's a small one.
There are many factors that play into bees getting closer to endangerment, but humans have the power to prevent many of these causes so that they don't keep on having a bad effect. Even by planting a small garden, you can provide a home for bees. Bees becoming endangered isn't a light subject that should be put on the back burner.
Without bees, our lives would change drastically. By involving ourselves in one of the many organizations or taking action yourself, we can accomplish something great. We no longer can just be aware of ourselves and the people around us. We also need to start becoming aware and involved in our environment. By doing things that might make our lives easier, we sometimes destroy animals' lives.
Take in mind what you do will have an effect on others. Instead of just hearing this message, actually take action so that the tragic bee extinction doesn't occur.